welcome back to the hopefully second video in years on my YouTube channel. Here. It's been a while since I actually regularly made videos, and today I want to talk about how annoying it is to buy a brand new bike from a dealership, because they seem to pretend like you're not going to ride it very often or something. It doesn't really make sense to me. But it's also an excuse to do the service myself, which I was thinking at least the first couple of times I would get the dealership to do it, just to make sure everything's above board. But I made some phone calls, and it turns out there's not really a good reason for that. I called the dealership and said, hey, how far out are you guys booking to do the services? And how much is the service going to cost me? Well, the service is going to cost me like $300 minimum. Which, that's a little frustrating for me, because I am quite confident it's not going to cost me $300 in my time or parts to do the service, when the service is really just an oil change. So they're also not booking for 3 weeks. I'm already at 420 kilometers basically. It's 414, but I'm at a little over 400 kilometers, and I want to ride every single day. So I'm going to hit 1,000 kilometers by next week sometime. Almost certainly. Short of something else happening. So my question to them was, when are they booking out till currently? And the answer is like 3 weeks, which is too long for me. And then the price was also a pretty unreasonable, like dealership prices. Kind of nuts. Or I called Triumph Canada or Triumph North America to find out what the expectation is for the warranty, because I'm happy to do the service on my own. I just want to make sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to void my warranty in the process. And that guy was very, very nice, and basically said, yeah, you have absolutely no reason you need to go to the dealership. They're going to try and get you to do that, but it's not an expectation from Triumph itself. I did ask what the expectation is on their end. What is it that they want to see? And basically what they said to me was, make sure that you're using the right parts. So get the OEM oil filter at the very least the first time. Don't get a cheaper kind of off-brand oil filter. And make sure you're using the right oil. Keep the receipts. Note the kilometers or mileage on the motorcycle at the time of doing it. Potentially take photos. And note the date that you did the service. With the exception of that, it's really just that I need to look out for, if I'm seeing a bunch of pieces of metal in the oil and stuff, then it almost certainly means that I would need to bring it to get serviced properly, under warranty, right? Which, fair, very fair. I can handle that. With that in mind, I'm gonna order the oil filters, get the right oil, do the service myself, and not be stressed about this. And the benefit to that is wrenching Wednesdays might still be a thing. Even if I don't quite have the time right now or the parts to start working on mold, I can at least do the service on this bike, do all the things that you would normally do, and not be worried about taking it to a dealership. Because, man, that's like half the fun, or at least for someone like me, half the fun in having a motorcycle is that you should be able to do most of the work on your own. You shouldn't be obligated to go to a dealership, because you don't need custom parts, you don't need a giant lift. There's certain tools that I could have that would make my life easier. I'm not going to argue with that. That's absolutely a thing. I have all the tools that I need. I can do the servicing myself. And then if I run into any specific issues, if there's any concerns, then I'd have to schedule it in for a service anyway. And just fingers crossed that's not the case. I'm gonna be treating her correctly. I should have headed to a Shell. Dang it. I got distracted. I'm getting used to it. Having all these digital gauges is kind of throwing me for a loop. I'm used to analog gauges, man. Or on malls, not having anything that tells me how much fuel I have, but just tracking it by how many kilometers. So I'm actually kind of excited about it. I was annoyed at first because I'd come to, like, you know, the 5 stages of grief of realizing like I was going to be beholden to them when they could fit me in for the service, and I'd have to sparse out my 600 more kilometers. Now I can do the service when I hit 1,000 kilometers. I don't have to stress about it, and I can do it in the evening. I'm not stuck wasting half my day taking it to a dealership. Long story short, that was frustrating to find out, only to realize I'm good to go. I'm good to go. It's all good. It's all good in this neighborhood. That was kind of exciting to come to that realization. I had to give up on phone mount. I dropped my phone twice yesterday. It just fell off the bike. But yeah, I have to get a new mount. So I think Chelsea wants to do that for me for Father's Day. So kind of looking forward to that. And until then, phone's in my pocket. I don't get to adjust things on the fly when I stop at a stoplight without whipping it out of my pocket. So it's probably not a bad thing, actually, again, because I haven't been riding as much. So as much as I like to think, you know, oh, once you ride you never forget, that's absolutely not true. You can certainly have rustier skills than you really want. I really should be doing due diligence and giving myself as much practice without being distracted as possible. So I just tried to scratch my eye through the freaking visor. Good lord. Wrenching Wednesdays will hopefully still be a thing, and I can slowly start working on malls as well. The other thing my brother reminded me, it's not related to motorcycles, so bear with me, everybody, but I have all of the things that I need. When I was pretending I could be a woodworker, I got all the parts and everything together and started working on building my own sauna. It's like half finished in the garage. Like, everything's there, but I have to finish building it, and then I need to hire an electrician to come and actually install the 220 line so that I can get hooked up to electricity. And it's just sat there unfinished, like so many things in my life. But my brother reminded me that he's coming up, you know, in like a little less than a month. He's coming back for, you know, 9 days or something. And now he's suddenly interested in a sauna and trying it out and seeing if he enjoys it and stuff. And so he's like, well, now you got a month to build one, finish it, so that I can try it out while I'm there. Like, oh man. I mean, again, it's good because I want to actually finish projects that I start, and I'd love to have a sauna to use, since I hate going to the gym and I hate sharing a sauna with randoms. That's the other thing on my priority, and I might do a video about that or something. Like, why not, you know? Because it'd be nice to get back into doing content of just things that I enjoy, things that I can, you know, show my kids when they get a bit older. They can see what I've been doing. I'm very loath to include my kids in any video content, not because it's a judgment on people who do, but I just don't really want to. My kids are beautiful, they're wonderful, and they're mine. Man, they're not for other people's enjoyment other than grandma and grandpa. I think that's going to be kind of like a focus for me, is recording some of the content that I would love to share with them as the opportunity avails itself. Oh God, it's this road. Why did I do this? Okay, well, this is going to be kind of a bitch. They just threw all of the rather large size cover on these like within the last week, and it's all super loose, and I'm finding it's the one thing. It's like you kind of like, you borrow someone else's off-road bike that's heavier, and it just like plows through this stuff. You can practically put a plow in front of some of those things, where this kind of glides over top and it feels very loose. Ooh, the helicopter, that's cool. That's cool. What the Did I always used to do that, or I just edit them all out? That's a good question. Very nerve-wracking here. Yeah, I need more experience doing this stuff as well, because I'm not really used to it. You gotta be careful with the front brake, I know that. You gotta probably gear up more than you expect, so that you're not putting too much down and letting it slip out from underneath you. But it's the front wheel that I'm most worried about, you know? Anyways. A lot of washboard right there. Wonderful, wonderful washboard. I took a ride yesterday, completely forgot the SD card for the camera. Saw a bald eagle and everything, and then realized that the camera wasn't running because I forgot the SD card. I'm not going to try and make this video too long. That's one of the other things I had talked about previously when the audio wasn't really recording very well. I mean, I really do want to make content. What I don't want to do is have to edit all that content. As I've gotten older, I've realized I really don't enjoy the editing process the way I did when I was younger. And narrative editing is very different. You know, when we were making, you know, little comedy shows and those kinds of things back in the day, it was different, you know? You edit for the punchline, and you edit is part of the creative process. And I guess I could be looking at this like that. In fact, I probably should be looking at this like that. And if I attempt to be a bit more creative, I could probably find things about editing that I enjoy. But I work at a computer for a living. Both of the things that I do for income require me to sit at a computer. And as I've gotten older, I enjoy that less and less and less. I love computers. I love building computers. A lot of the joy of sitting at a computer is going away, and more that drawback, like my back, you know, it suffers from me sitting at a computer all day, every day. The last thing I want to do after I get out for a bike ride, or after I finish work for the day, is to sit at a computer and edit. It's just not my thing, you know? And I had to come to terms with that. That's why I never really finished editing some of the road trips that I did in the past. It's not because I don't want to. I do want to finish editing them. I desperately want to finish editing them. It's again, something else that I started and didn't finish. Just kind of brutal. Story of my life, man. So I want to get back to that. And if I have to do a lot of editing for these hopefully daily rides, then again, that's just going to take away from the time that I could be writing, the time that I could be helping my buddy with his book, the time I could be spending with my kids, the time I could be riding. You know, like, it just takes away from all of that other stuff that I would rather enjoy, wrenching, you know, all those things. So I'd like to minimize the amount of editing. This might end up just being for Atlas and Theo and whatever our third kid is going to be named. We don't know if it's going to be a boy or girl yet, so fingers crossed it's a girl. We'll see. We'll see. You know, if someone else ends up watching these, I hope you enjoy the relatively less edited content. I'm going to try and understand a little bit better about when I should turn the camera on for recording and audio recording and stuff. Maybe I could do like a little series of videos that I would call, you know, a ride a day keeps the therapist away or something. And it's it's subjecting anyone who's watching this stuff, basically my road therapy. Me trying to get some of the thoughts that I have in my head out there so that they're not all pent up inside. I guess that's really like the focus of this. Record things that I want to share with my kids in the future. And if anyone else happens to watch this and enjoys it, well, awesome. Awesome. I love it. You guys are going to get subjected to all kinds of nonsense that I think about. Philosophy, politics, motorcycles, I suppose the main point should be motorcycles. This is always a motor vlog channel, but you know how successful that was. It does make me wonder how many of those 150 something subscribers that I have are real. For all of you real people out there, I love you, I appreciate it. I don't know how many of you are still on YouTube and how many of you actually get recommended my videos anymore. But again, I've only really done one before, hopefully this one. So we'll see. We'll see. What else did I want to talk about? It's killing my arm. I don't know if I've mentioned it in previous videos. I can't imagine that I didn't. There's got to be somewhere in my random videos in the past where I talk about why I have a gimp arm. But for some context, this arm doesn't extend beyond there. It's kind of stuck at a right angle, at least in terms of the farthest it can extend. And it causes me a not insignificant amount of pain pretty much all the time. I'm not trying to whinge about it. There are people with conditions that are significantly more painful than mine, so it's not like a competition or anything like that, but it is something that I have to be aware of. Sometimes affects me more than I'd like to admit. Getting back on a motorcycle has always been one of them. Getting a motorcycle, that's why I modified Malls to the extent that I did, was to make it more conducive to me riding with my body size, my arm, just different things that I've had to deal with. So this bike, when I sat on it, I knew it's gonna be probably as close to something that was purpose built for someone like me, except of course that it's a semi off-road bike, which, you know, I'd love to have a dirt bike, but we all know, or at least anyone who knows me, I'm not going to be using it the way some people use a dirt bike, because that would just kill my arm, you know, and I'd probably wipe out, because when my arm shoots in pain, sometimes it just gives up doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, like holding you up. It is not optimal in any way to, you know, going down trails and doing those things at speed. So I wanted a bike that would allow me to do this stuff, but at my own pace, and it not be something where I remember some of the trips that I took on Malls, especially through places like Tennessee or Philadelphia, where there's a lot of back roads that you don't realize until you're in the thick of it are very unfinished and or just turn into dirt roads that are largely washed out, especially like Kentucky, Tennessee, down south, where you get a lot of the rain that washes that stuff out. And so the concern was always with Malls, not that I hadn't given her the clearance, not that I hadn't made some of the modifications that allow me to yeah, let's get back on a regular road, to take her, but I didn't have spoked rims. So they're the cast wheels that Honda did, and the concern was always you hit the wrong thing. If you crack that wheel, well, you're SOL. There's no just like changing the tire, especially if you're in the middle of a road trip somewhere, you know. That was a big thing about this. The skid plate is also really, really nice, so if it does bottom out on something, I don't have to worry about ripping off the oil filter or something like that, or puncturing a hole in the crankcase, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of massive. Not that I'm necessarily going to be using this to the full extent that someone else would, but I don't have to worry about the things that I can do, the bike itself being the limitation. Now it's just me physically. I'm the one that limits what it can and can't do because of my gimp arm, my getting older age, those kinds of things. So yeah, that's that. So if I make this video any longer, chances are it'll take me forever to edit it, and then chances are I won't edit it. So I think I should probably call it there. I'm gonna get across the road here and then pull up a little bit down there, and I can do an outro for you guys. I did watch that first video with my son, or started to, and then he lost interest. He's only 3 going on 4. The motorcycle really interests him, but maybe watching a video of his dad riding a motorcycle from only one point of view, not as entertaining. So hopefully this camera's gonna help. Man, it's a gorgeous day. And I got out early enough today that I don't feel like the sun's gonna set on me. That's kind of nice. If there is anything, anyone who's watching these videos, if you see it, you remember my content from before, if there's anything that you, I guess, like me to answer, or if you want me to get back to finishing editing that 2019 road trip or any of those kinds of things, just let me know. That'll help fuel me, give me the motivation that I really need. Ooh, beautiful horse. Just drop a comment below. Let me know what you want to see. And I would love to get a road trip in on this. We have our next baby is due. Oh, more gorgeous horses. Our next baby, third baby, Hui, is due in November. I don't know exactly. Here, let's turn this on. I don't know exactly when I'd be able to do a road trip. I know I'm going to try and take the family on vacation, but it probably doesn't include me taking a motorcycle and then making Chelsea drive the van. I'd love to do a road trip, even if it's just a couple of days. You know, maybe boot down the Blue Ridge again, take in the sights, or maybe just cross over into the border and go down as far as like Pennsylvania, Maryland, because there's just some beautiful roads down there. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to see, anything that I've left unfinished that you'd like me to finish up on. And Atlas, I love you to bits, man. Theo, when you're old enough to watch these things, you're gorgeous. I love you guys so much. And whatever baby tree is, I already love you. You're amazing. Anyway, until next time, ride safe and ride fun. And I'll catch you guys on the road in the next video. Okay. So it's telling me I need gas when I've got 130 kilometers to go with this tank. Weird. Maybe I'll just hit gas station anyway.